Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Gardening with One Knee in Zone 5B. My name is Janelle and I'm here to help take the intimidation out of doing some gardening, maybe helping you get started on planting a few things that you enjoy to eat, propelling you on a path of food independence. I got a lot going on back here. Today is going to be a little bit different of a video. It's not going to be planting, but I will be preserving oranges. I recently learned of something called Pectinex. I think there's also something called Pectinase. Basically, it's the same thing. It's a type of a enzyme that eats away at the outside of an orange or grapefruit. So I was at the store today and they had 5-pound bags, not bad, of cuties. They're normally $7.99. But they were on sale for $4.99 with a digital coupon. A cutie is a type of a clementine, it's a clementine, which is a type of a mandarin orange. It's not an actual mandarin orange. Very delicious. They are kind of like the same things that you would buy in a can of mandarin oranges. So what I'm going to do is can my own. Now, I did can oranges not that long ago. And mine actually look like this. Looks like a family of wild raccoons helped me get these ready. They're all kind of mushed and mangled just because the section of the orange, when you take that little jacket off, it kind of falls apart or it sticks to the outside of it. So they're kind of putsy, but I've learned of this Pectinase, which you add to water and you soak your fruit in it. It can take anywhere as little as a half an hour, or it can take like overnight. This needs to be stored in the refrigerator. It was $14.99 on Amazon. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these with water mixed with some of this, and I'm going to let them soak. And then that's going to take this outer jacket off. So grapefruits aren't as hard for me to peel for canning. I don't know, they seem to hold up in larger sections, but maybe that's just because it's bigger overall. The grapefruits, they were a 5-pound bag for $5.99. There were 6 of them in there, so basically $1 a grapefruit. I love grapefruit. I will make a simple syrup when it comes time to canning them to put with the oranges. You can make a light simple syrup, a medium, or a heavy syrup. And when you read some of your labels on your canned fruit in the store, it'll say with heavy syrup. I'm just going to be making a syrup out of some honey and water or sugar and water. Depends, what I think of that day. I believe I'm going to be soaking these overnight and I'll be canning them tomorrow. But I wanted to show you the things that I'll be using to get to that step. Now, when you are buying fruit or vegetables for any reason at all for canning, if you get something like this, don't use it. Don't even try to peel it and salvage some of it, because you don't know what this is and you don't know what's going on inside. And you could be introducing that into your canned goods. Look at all my peelings. I'm going to put those out on the compost heap in a bit. So it took me about 45 minutes to get these all cleaned up. And I wanted to show you this little tool. You probably see these on rummage sales. You probably see them at thrift stores. But this is for peeling fruit. And I used it for the cuties, and I'm going to use it for this. And all you do, it's got this like little hook here, and then this little like thin little like wedgie thing. So all you're going to do is use it like this. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can kind of see that squirting out there. My whole house smells like citrus right now. It's just wonderful. I love it. So this is all it really is. And then you can get in there and peel your fruit. You have a really thick skin. And this is all what they call pith. Now, if you can your fruit with some of this on, or the little membrane that holds the fruit in for the sections, it'll give it a bitter flavor. So you want to get rid of that. That's why I'm going to be using this Pectinex. It's my first time using it, but I have had fruit that was prepared using it, and it was really, really good. So that's what made me jump online and order it. So you can see how nice this is coming apart. Ugh. And I don't know how many of you guys eat grapefruit like me, but I usually just peel my grapefruit and just eat it like this. But all of this stuff here is pith, and you don't want that, it's bitter. So anyway, I just wanted to show you my little tool. If you see these, they're handy. You might even have it at home. So anyway, and then here's my oranges from the family of raccoons that helped me do it. I'm kidding. But they're all kind of banged up because they don't peel as nicely as grapefruit. So what I'm gonna do is I have some reverse osmosis water here, and it said to add several drops. And there's a little flip lid, but I have to open it. There we go. It's not what I thought it was going to be like. It's kind of brown, I think. There we go. So I'm just going to add some of this to the water. Like that. I'm not quite sure if that's going to be enough. I did read online how to use this, and you're going to get variations all over the board. One person said use a liter of water, this is almost a liter, with 5 or 6 drops for your fruit. But I don't feel like a liter is going to be enough to cover like the oranges. But I am going to put it here on the grapefruit right now. Like that. Oh, this is actually going to probably cover it. And that enzyme is going to eat away at that membrane. Now, if you have more enzyme in there, or if your house is a little bit warmer, they say that it'll go faster. And then what you do is you just rinse off your fruit in a colander, and all that pulpy membrane stuff will wash away, because all you want are the little sections. The other thing I wanted to show you while we're getting set up for this is my canning kettle, and I touched upon this in my video, what I use to preserve food. It's got a rack in there, and we're gonna just set this here. This rack's got handles, so it comes out, you can put your jars in here, like that. See that? And then when it comes time that you have this all loaded with jars, you just slowly put it down. You never want your jars on the bottom of the kettle, because that will introduce them to possibly cracking. But I just wanted to show you that. So that'll be one of the pieces that I'll be using, most likely tomorrow, and I'll do a continuation video. I brought up some canning jars. These are just, stuff that I emptied out and washed, and I put them downstairs. I will wash these in hot soapy water and rinse them in hot water before I use them just one more time. I mean, they've been sitting on a shelf probably for a few months, so they're clean, but they're not food preservation clean. So I'll be washing these. These are half-pint. I call these squats. I'm sure I'm the only one that does that too, but there you go. That's all they are. That's a half a pint. And then that's gonna be for grapefruit. These are quarter-pints. More of like a fruit cup size. We'll show you the difference here in size. See? Half-pint, quarter-pint. I do a lot of things with quarter-pints because to me it's like a single serving, and then I have less food waste. A couple other things too I have going on here. It's been kind of like a big food preserving. I shouldn't say this is food preserving, but I was freeze drying saltwater taffy. I'm waiting for bags to come in, so I put them in a jar, and then I have one of these things that fits on the jar, and it sucks out all the air. It's a vacuum sealer. It's rechargeable, and there is a piece on here that you can attach so that you can do narrow mouth. But anyway, I've got one more load of taffy in the freeze dryer right now, and they're all sealed up. But I just wanted to show you because I don't think I covered what I use for canning. I don't think I remembered to bring this out, but yeah, I'm going to be giving some of these away as Easter gifts. The other things that I'll be using are lids. Now there's lids by Ball, there's lids by Car. These are superb lids, and it says here that it seals up to 36 months. That's really, really nice because your food on your shelf can last, a couple years. So that's kind of like a good little, I don't know, endorsement. One box, these are 2 boxes, by the way. The narrow mouth lids, which are going to go on these guys, the quarter pints, this was $3.15 for 12. And then the largemouth lids were $4.55 for 12 lids, and those are going to go on my squats on the half-pint size. The other things that I'll be using this weekend is my jar grabber and most likely a funnel. It's kind of nice to load your jars up so that you don't have so much stuff, especially when you have a little bit of simple syrup with your fruit, so that it doesn't get on the outside lids. But I just wanted to show you the things I'll be using. I can't remember if I showed you how this jar grabber works. So you're going to have your kettle of boiling water for your water bath, and when it's done, how do you get them out? You use a jar grabber, and it just kind of goes down like this, and you put them out on a towel. When you have something coming out of a canner of any kind, you don't want to put them on a cold counter because that will shock the glass and possibly make it crack. So I always have just like a little towel out there for putting my stuff on. I imagine I will be running maybe 2 batches. I'm not going to do those right away. I want to see how many jars I need for my little cuties, so that I can go downstairs and get some more. So anyway, I just thought I would show you what I'm working on as far as canning. Some things with canning, you can do all in just, like that. Like tomato juice, you just wash your tomatoes, cut them down, cook them up, run them through a sieve or a food processor or one of those tomato squisher machine kind of things. And, you can heat it back up, put it in hot jars and put it in your water bath. Some things though is a 2-step process, and today this is just one of those things. When you're doing a hot water bath, which is this method right here, you're going to put cool jars in cool water and then bring the boiling water up to temp and get it boiling and start your timer when it's got a rolling boil. If you're using something like, or if you're making something like spaghetti sauce or tomato juice, something that's hot and boiling already, you're going to be putting hot sauce or hot tomato juice in a hot jar and putting it in a rolling boiling water bath. So those are a couple little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. I think that's everything. If you have questions regarding this process, just let me know, and we will have a part 2 tomorrow. Okay, thanks for joining me. Bye. Good morning, welcome back to part 2 of canning oranges and grapefruit. My name's Janelle, and the last one we left off, I had just covered the fruit with the Pectinex and the water, and I put it in the refrigerator overnight. I was looking at the grapefruit this morning, and I'm thinking that I might have to pick through what is already done, but some of it was above the water level, so it didn't get the full effect. So I might have to pick through that, maybe give it a little soak one more time. And then we'll take care of the oranges. So our next step is to drain the water. So I have my colander set up, and then I have my bowl here. I like this bowl because it's got these like little pouring spots here. I'll show you what I mean, like this. And a lot of the membranes are gone, but there's still quite a bit of pith left on these. And like I said, I had this bowl a little over full. So I just have a little measuring glass of just reverse osmosis water. I'm just going to give this all a rinse and just see what this is like now. Yeah, I think actually some of these probably need a little bit more time with the Pectinex, because I could just grab like a random handful and there's pectin on all of these, especially like that one here. And this part here is what's going to make it bitter. So I am going to give these another soak. So I will put those back in. I'm going to give this a quick rinse. And then we're going to do the oranges next. There we go. All right. So we're just going to set that aside. Oh, the other thing I forgot to tell you yesterday with the oranges, it's not a bad idea to save these bags. The reason I say that is say if you grow a lot of onions, you can store your onions in one of these bags. Or maybe you grow things like dahlia or 4 o'clocks and you have to lift those bulbs at the end of the season. You can put those in here to help dry them out and store them. Bulbs are something that you never want to store in a plastic tote. You want to always store it in something like a bushel basket or a cardboard box with saw shavings, a brown paper bag, something that's going to protect it from the light. So just wanted to add that to it. I just thought, you know, hey, it's a 2-for-1, you know, you get the fruit, you get the bag. So, all right, let's take a look at the oranges next. This was a really big bowl. And I'm gonna go ahead and drain these. I washed my jars last night and then I washed one more load this morning. So I have 2 dozen quarter-pints ready to roll and 1 dozen half-pints ready to roll. And then this morning I also made my simple syrup, and I had decided to use honey. So I had used a cup of honey to 4 cups of water, and I just warmed that so that the honey mixed in really nice. Since I'm going to be cold packing, which means putting cold fruit into a cold jar, I'm going to want that syrup to be cooler. I don't want it, well, I wouldn't have wanted it to boil anyway. If you were going to make like a light syrup or like an ultra light syrup, that would be about a 1/4 cup of sugar to, I want to say 5 cups of water. And then you just warm that until your sugar dissolves. And then it goes up from there. I always prefer like a light syrup versus the heavy syrup. The heavy syrup is just way too much for me. So, all right, so let's take a look here. These actually look, okay, so you can see some of the membrane on my fingertips right here. Can you see that right there? So I'm going to keep rinsing these. And hopefully, let me get my hands rinsed here. Our city water, our village water is something nobody here that I know of consumes. When I first bought my house, my cat got kidney stones. And I just thought, oh, poor kitty. And, you know, he was miserable and he was in the hospital for a little while. And then a couple months later, I got them. And then about 6 months later, my cat got them again. And then I got them. And the doctor said, where do you live? And I told him, he goes, nobody drinks the water there. And I moved here, so I didn't know that. And he goes, start drinking RO water or bottled water. You can cook with the tap water or do your laundry, but I don't really even cook with my tap water. I kind of just rely on the reverse osmosis. Even when I have like a washcloth, you know, like to do dishes with, that's why you see me always using these. Our water here is so funky that I might get a brand new one and I'll use it 1 or 2 times and it smells like there is rotten cauliflower sitting someplace. Horrible, horrible, horrible. So let's see here. A lot of this is washing off, so I'm just going to kind of move these around. The fruit is intact. I might have to do these one more time too. A lot of it, here, I'll show you what's on my hands right now. I don't know if you can see all that speckly stuff. That's the membrane that was dissolving. So I don't know if maybe I need to rinse this more or if it's going to need a little bit more time. But I'm going to rinse it a few more times and we're going to see. I follow a gal, her name's Lori at Common Sense Homestead. She's got a YouTube channel and she's also got a newsletter that she puts out, and she's got so much information. Her and her family have solar, and they always have like a plan B, which is kind of like how my house is. There's a plan B. If there's no power, I have a fireplace. I have solar power. I collect my rainwater for my plants, you know, things like that. But they have it all to another level on a much larger scale. And each summer they have an open house, and I went last year with my neighbor and learned a lot of really neat things. And every now and then she sends out a newsletter, I think it's weekly, and she had a recipe on her website for canning oranges using Pectinex. My neighbor saw it, she gave it a try, and then I was inspired. So I think I am going to give this just one more soak with the Pectinex. And I won't bore you with that part. We're just going to, mix it up with the water again. A lot of it has dissolved, but it could be that it's going at a slower rate because it was in the refrigerator overnight, and on the website a couple articles said that the warmer it is, the quicker the membranes dissolve. And I have mine in the refrigerator, so that might be part of it. So it's not a loss by any means. I'm just going to go ahead and set it up for another soak for maybe a couple hours. And I'll just do that on the kitchen counter. I didn't want to leave it on the kitchen counter overnight. That just seemed like a long time for the fruit that's out of their jackets to be out in the environment, even though I have it covered. But anyway, we will part with that, and we will come back in a little bit to see how the second round of Pectinex worked on the fruit, okay? Okay, it's about 2 hours later, and I kind of just did a test on the grapefruit just to see if that made a difference, and it did. I had to pick off some of the little membranes a little bit, but this is what I ended up with. And you can see they're just nice. They're outside of their jackets. It's a nice amount, and they're intact, which is really, really good. I can't wait to jar these up. So now, actually, I'll show you here. This is kind of what I was picking off by hand. I didn't get this one. It took me maybe 15, 20 minutes. And I know sometimes already at this point you might think, oh, it's so putsy. I don't think I would do that. That, it's up to you if you want to. A can of little mandarin oranges in the store is $1.29. And I don't know, the food and metal, I'm kind of trying to get away from that just because there could be residual things with the metals that soak into your food. Now, with food recalls, yes, they have food recalls on the news and everything. However, not everything is on the news and announced. And I know this because I go to recall.gov, and it'll list what the food recalls are. And sometimes it's not like, say if you were buying like a name brand something, those kinds of things would probably hit the news. Good, right? But if it's something that's a little obscure, or, like maybe only you and a handful of other people buy, it could be on that list and just not on the news. So it's kind of like why I really started canning more and more of my food, preserving more and more of my food. Because then I know, for example, today when I can oranges and grapefruit, I know that it's going to be oranges, grapefruit, water, and honey. Done. I don't have to worry anything about leaching from the glass into the food because it's not anything like metal. So that's why I do it. The other thing too is now we're going to kind of rinse our oranges and see how those turned out. I have high hopes. So this is what they look like. Oh, and I can see a lot more things floating in here now. I don't know if you can see that as well. Try to bring that up. You can see like the little thready things floating. That's the I don't know how you would say it, like the part of the membrane. It's kind of like how our skeleton holds our body together. It's kind of like the pieces that hold the membrane together. So I got my colander all washed up since the last time. Let me put that in here. Yeah, I think that extra couple hours made a difference. I can see things here. See, it's kind of like this kind of stuff. This is what you want out of the food. Otherwise, it can kind of bring in a bitter taste. So I'm just going to kind of rinse these a couple times. This is kind of exciting. I'm going to have all sorts of pretty oranges on the shelf downstairs. I kind of like having fruit on hand. I have some blueberries and strawberries in the fridge or in the freezer yet. Not many. That's kind of winding down, but I've been kind of battling a cough off and on most of the winter. And it's always nice to have some citrus whenever you're not feeling good for the vitamin C. That would mean that I would have to bundle up, go outside when I'm not feeling good, go into a store, probably coughing and making people wonder, why is she out in public? So it's kind of nice just to have it on hand, and then I can give myself the citrus boost. I just realized I should kind of fluff these up and move things around. Wow, these look fantastic. Now, aside that, there's just a few little like hairy things. I shouldn't say hairy things, but parts of the membrane on here yet. Like that little piece. That's what I'm going to be trying to rinse away here. And then we'll be able to jar these up and can them. This is exciting. So let's keep rinsing here. It's going to just take some multiple rinses. And then I'm just going to check the temperature of my syrup. I'm pretty sure it's just like room temperature yet. I put that in a stainless steel type of a kettle. It's got a heavy bottom. The heavy bottom kettles, if you're not real familiar with those, a heavy bottom kettle might take a lot longer to heat up, but it also holds the heat a lot longer too. So if you notice something coming to a boil and you don't want it to boil, there's so much heat already absorbed into that metal, you might shut the burner off, but it still might come to a little bit of a boil right before the temperature starts coming down, because it's got so much heat absorbed to it. So, all right, we are almost there, and then we're gonna go and see, like, here's some more of those little things, just like this. And this is what I was picking off of the grapefruit, but it was so much easier on the grapefruit because it was so much larger. So I'm gonna just kind of get the last of these off, and then we're gonna go down the countertop here and we'll start jarring these. All right, we're at the next step for canning, and I wanted to show you, I actually kind of went through all my little oranges one by one, and I'm gonna show you what I did. I don't want to set that down too much. I went through them and I just did this to get that membrane off. And I'll just show you one more. I saved these two. So that's all I really did. It took me another 10 or 15 minutes. And I know some of you are gonna say that's too klutzy for me, but it's what I choose to do. I don't know, I like it. It's miserable outside today, so what else am I gonna do? Sit in front of the TV? I might as well be creative and productive. So, I just boiled some water. Probably didn't have to let it get to that temperature. I'm just putting it in just like a bowl like this to warm up my lids. And really all I want to do is get that seal kind of gummy. And then this here is my honey syrup. And when this was warming, there was like a little, I don't want to say a foam, but there was like little clusters of bubbles. And I'm going to guess that that would be things that would crystallize. So I just kind of spooned those out. Get that out of here. So I've got my syrup. I've got my water back here. I can turn that on. Poof. And I'm just going to put a splash of vinegar in there just so that the jar stays sparkly and shiny. That's all it is. All right. So let's fill some of these jars. I'm going to do both grapefruit and oranges, just to kind of show you the whole process. I won't bore you with every cycle. So I'm going to do oranges in the small ones, I said. So I'm just going to be doing it like this. I can squeeze one more in there. This is all it is. This is called cold packing because I don't have anything heated up to like a boil or a soft boil. Let me take that one out of there. Put in a different one. And in my opinion, this is just kind of like one of those like little mini servings of a fruit cup. And on canning days, I always have my hair tied back because, well, I don't want hair in my food. This is all it is. So I'm cold packing little cutie oranges. clementines, whatever they are. All right, that's going to be plenty in there. We'll set that aside. And then I'm going to pack some grapefruit. I don't have my grapefruit down here, hang on. There, once again, that's the grapefruit. I think it just looks really, really delicious. So we're gonna cold pack in the wide mouth jars, the ones that are a little bit bigger. The fruit's a little bit bigger. So we're just gonna do it like that. When I was peeling these, there were actually 9 little segments or sections in each little cutie. Oh, can't use that one, that's on the floor. This is just one of those nice things that I can in the colder months when the things in my garden aren't coming in. And you kind of want to be a little gentle with these because the membrane's off, so the fruit is, I don't want to say more fragile, but you know, it can come apart like that now. Oh, I just love having fresh fruit on the cupboard or on the pantry shelf, ready to gobble up. I ate quite a bit too when I was preparing these. There, so I've got these almost all done. There. Now the next thing I'm going to do is add some simple syrup. I'm just going to set these over here. This is where the funnel is kind of handy. So I just put my funnel over here, add a little bit of simple syrup. I'll probably have to make another little batch of simple syrup. Ideally, it should cover the fruit or very close to it. Once the jars go through the whole canning process, it's going to kind of like close in the amount of air. It's going to kind of suck it out and make it more of a anaerobic environment so that bacteria doesn't grow. Some of these I might be overfilling, but I also have to debubble yet. I didn't bring anything out here with me for debubbling, so I'm just going to do a little tap tap on the towel. Yikes. Oh, I thought that one was going to be really overfull. Okay, your little air bubbles escaping. If you're ever going to tap your jars, make sure they're on a towel or on a hot pad, just so they're not having direct contact with the counter, because that's going to be a little bit too much of a stress on the jar if you're tapping on a hard countertop surface. All right. There we go. So when I just kind of do a little wiggle and a tap tap, wiggle, tap tap. See, and some of that syrup volume is going down. Wiggle, tap tap. That one I had more bubbles than I thought it should. Tap, a little wiggle, tap tap. Tap tap. That one actually could use a little bit more syrup now that I tapped and got some air bubbles out. Wiggle, wiggle, tap, tap, wiggle, wiggle, tap, tap. That one also needs a little bit more. Much better. There we go. All right. So then now the next step is to wipe my rims. Oh, I want to get my lids in the hot water. I'm just going to do a few of the large. Here, let's get this over onto the stove on a burner that's not on. Then I'm going to bring my hot water and vinegar here. All right, let's get some of these in. Remember, I'm just putting these in hot water, not necessarily to sanitize them. It's just mainly to get this little rubber piece here a little soft and gummy. I don't need that many of the large. I need some small ones now. And while those are warming up, I'm going to take my paper towel, and I just got some distilled white vinegar in here, and I'm just going to wipe off all the rims like this, just in case there's any residue of the food or the syrup. There we go. This is actually kind of fun. Another thing too is if you don't have your water bath canner full enough, something called siphoning will happen, and a lot of the liquid will come out. And if that happens to you, just use those jars first, because they might not have as long of a shelf life. Now that one hardly has any syrup, so I'm going to pour some off in here. Lower this one down. Let's get a clean part of the paper towel now, because I'm sure I've had some syrup residue on here. There we go. So really the putsy part is all over with now. Now it's the part that's going to go pretty fast, that one felt. And another thing too, when you're wiping your rims like this is another time when you can kind of feel if there's an imperfection, and you might be able to look and see, oh yeah, there's a chip, and you're not going to want to use that jar. You know, this is all I'm doing is just going around the rim like that. There. So now those are cleaned up. Then, let's see here. I'm not sure if I showed this in my video of what I use for canning, but this actually is got a little magnet on the end, and it will pick up the lids out of the boiling water, the hot water. And you don't have to dry them. You can just, you know, do this and then put them on. Can't really do this one-handed, but like that. There's a bigger one. See, that magnet is strong enough to pick up the bigger one. Like that. Like that. I never reuse my lids. I know some people do, but I don't. I don't. All right, and now next thing, we're gonna add the rings. And all that are these things. These are reusable year after year. Some of these are probably 20, 25, 30 years old. It'd be kind of fun to know if I have any of these left from when I lived in Green Bay. So when we add these onto our jars, you're just gonna put them on finger tight. All that means is that you're gonna put them on like this. Oops. See where it stops? Now just give it a light little, maybe half-inch turn. If you put them on too tight, that can be another reason for siphoning too. So like, just like this one, look at those little oranges in there. That is so awesome. I just love this. And that's all I'm gonna do. And when I'm done, I'll show you how about putting them in the canner. All right, I just have all the rings on now. I'm gonna load them into the canner. I did turn this on just as I started filling the jars. And the water is not anywhere near boiling or anything. So I'm just gonna put them in on the rack, like this. So I've got all 4 of those. I'm hoping all 6 of these will fit, but if not, round 2. All right, they're not all gonna fit this time around. Bummer. Okay, so now I'm gonna just lower this into the water like this. See how slick that is? All right, Now I'm going to leave the lid off because I want to keep an eye on it when the water starts to go into a rolling boil. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. The general rule of thumb is if you're canning something in quarts, 20 minutes in the water bath, pints 15 minutes, and then the half pints and quarter pints 10 minutes. You can also can fruit using a pressure canner. There's nothing wrong with that. And the other thing I was going to show you too is, like, say if you don't have one of those nice racks that lowers everything in, you can create a rack on the bottom by doing something like this. Just keep putting your rings. I'm just going to use the large ones for now, just to kind of show you. But you can do this. As a workaround. So then now you can set your jars on this. So it will work just like that. You know, you probably have to kind of backfill with some small ones just to fill up the bottom. But I wanted to show you that. And then when these get done in 10 minutes, I'm not going to keep the camera running for the 10 minutes. When these get done in 10 minutes, then I'm going to take them out. I'm going to cool the water a little bit, and I'm going to load it back up. So we will be right back for that. My timer just went off, so let's pull these jars out of the water bath canner and see what they look like. Whenever you're opening up your water bath canner, open it away from you so that steam doesn't come to your face, like that. There we go. And use my jar grabber. And the handles did not fall inward. That's cool. So all I have to do is, oh, it's still very hot. Bring them up. Nope, I won't do that. Hot, hot. Better. All right, so here is some grapefruit. So this is all canned now. So these were just in the water bath canner for 10 minutes. And now when I put them out here on this towel, I'm going to not touch them for minimally 12 hours or until they're cool to the touch. When that time comes that they're cool to the touch, I will label them and then take them downstairs to the pantry shelf down there. This is so exciting. I love having fruit on hand. I realized when I was downstairs this morning, I have absolutely no grapefruit left, and I have 3 jars of oranges left. Well, 4 counting the one that I have up here that I was showing you. And then, let's see here, this is some oranges. So nice. So nice. And there we go. This is all canning is. And when these jars seal, you're going to hear them pop. It'll be like a kind of a sound, and that means that that jar is sealed. And those lids said that they stay sealed for 36 months, which 3 years. So I do have some things downstairs that I didn't can last year because I had some from the year before, like salsa. So then I just know that that lid is going to be stuck on that jar for 3 years. It's always a good idea to go down there and check. I usually do an inventory like in January or February and just see what I have. And I have a spreadsheet, so nerdy. I have a spreadsheet, and sometimes it's nice to see it in a spreadsheet or on paper so that you realize things that you think you eat a lot of, and all of a sudden you see the numbers and you're like, oh, I don't really eat a lot of that. Then you know you can cut back on that amount for canning or maybe skip a year. And there's always that chance that you're going to have some sort of a crop failure. And I know I mentioned last year I had problems with my peppers. Oh, did you hear that? One popped. There we go. So I had dehydrated some peppers, so I was fine. I'm going to cool this water because I'm putting cold jars in. And I just want to see it stop boiling. You hear the difference in sound? Oh, it's starting to rev up again. So now I'm just going to load the canner back up. I finished filling all my jars while this batch was going. And there's no specific way that you have to put jars in the canners, however they fit. Don't stack them though, not in a water bath canner. In a pressure canner, you can get a second rack and then you can safely stack jars, but in a water bath canner, it's just one level. I don't even know why I can do this. Why did I don't know. Some days I just don't know. There we go. And then I'm going to bring this back down like this. And this time it probably won't take as long for the temperature to come up because I'm not starting at ice cold. It kind of starting at more of a like a bathtub temperature maybe. So anyway, I will put a pause on the camera for now, and then when we come back, all we have are these 10 to do, and maybe I won't even bore you with that part, but I will show you more of these coming out of the canner so that you can see. Okay, thank you. Okay, I've got more coming out of the canner. I really like this whole process just because I like seeing the food in the jars. Have you ever noticed that? When you buy things in the frozen food section, you don't always see what's behind that plastic. They have it kind of hidden. And then the same thing with canned fruits and vegetables at the store. You really don't know what it looks like in there. So I kind of just like looking at my stuff on the shelf. These haven't gone in the water bath canner yet. I just like being able to see everything downstairs. I really feel like when your mind sees what you're going to eat, you get kind of enthusiastic about eating it. And I think too, like when kids help prepare the meal, they enjoy the meal even more. So let's get these other ones out of the water bath canner. The other thing I was going to talk a little bit about, and I don't think I mentioned it earlier yet, was headspace and what that means. Headspace is allowing a certain amount of space from where your food is to the top of the jar. And in this case, I should be leaving about a ½ inch headspace. And why that is because you need the food to be able to move around during the processing time. If you have it too full, it could siphon out because the food is moving around. But anyway, just try to get as close to whatever the recommended headspace is. Just kind of hoping that some of these would pop. A lot of these popped while we were off camera. Grapefruit. So far, no broken jars. See, isn't that cool? I just love it. I'll have to probably get another towel out so that I have something to put this next batch on. All right. So, let's look at some of these more oranges here. Kind of nice. Anyway, that is pretty much everything with canning oranges and grapefruit. I've done it several times over the past, I would say the past 5 years, just in smaller amounts. But now that this Pectinex is available, I'm going to be doing this a lot, and I'm not going to try to ration what I have downstairs. I'm going to enjoy it. So anyway, I hope this was informative. I hope you like this video. Be brave, take your first steps. Try canning something. Try something simple. Jams are usually fairly simple to start out with. Oh, did you hear that? That's a jar that's sealed. It's good for 36 months. Another one? Ah, it's just, and also too, I'll tell you, this size of a jar, sometimes it takes longer for you to hear that sound. So don't panic if you don't hear it right away. Oh, another one. So don't panic if you don't hear it right away. The first time I ever used this size of jar, I was making salsa, and they weren't popping right away, and I kind of got concerned, like, ooh, you know, is it not going to be good? Am I going to have to eat all this salsa? But no, it just took a little longer. It took a couple of hours in that case. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. Tell all your friends. I hope you have a great day. Bye. I wanted to show you one more thing. Before you store your jars, remove the rings. So all I'm gonna do is this. Take this, like this, and I'm just gonna check my lid is nice and snug. You can reuse these rings. All you have to do now is label it and store it. There you go. That way, if anything would become unsealed, the food will get exposed to air and it'll start to rot and you'll know it. So that's just one little tip I thought I would show you. Have a great day.